Vulnerability's hard.
We had a permit. We had a plan. We went.
I think that about sums it up.
Core experiences that I know fundamentally shifted who I am as a person.
And I was like, are you okay?
I wasn't.
In hindsight, I would do things completely differently.
Is it Yither?
Is it Yonder? Welcome to Yither and Yonder. So last time on Yither and Yonder.
Day 4, I wrote, today was too much. But I remember the hill we had to get over to get to sunrise. It was one of those like false ends where we kept being like, oh yeah, around this curve is definitely the top. And it was never the fucking top.
Right. A koala on a tree. I don't know, like, I'm struggling with an appropriate metaphor here, but like, just that image of...
And I remember in that section of trail, I felt so good.
Like, we are struggling, and we didn't know we were going to be struggling.
People were passing us, and they smelled like pancakes and Tide.
Oh.
We're not through hikers.
She threw off her pack, collapsed on a rock, and said, I just need 5 minutes, and I need fries.
And I can feel the blisters just getting bigger and bigger.
When I saw how bad your blisters were, I was like, how is she walking?
So here's like the moment. After lunch, my belly was fuller than it had been in 5 days. My pack put pressure on my stomach and intestines. Giardia.
Yeah.
Like, I remember putting my pack back on and getting the waist belt on and being like, ugh, like, that's not sitting right. That doesn't feel great. I'd hoped desperately to hear a better answer than just keep hiking. The ranger, who was not Dan the man, told us just that. The section of the trail that we were going into through Tuolumne Meadows is like a very protected restoration area because it is meadowland. And, you know, the rules for backpacking is you have to be like between 50 and 100 feet from a trail, depending on where you are, usually at least 100 feet from a water source, if not further, depending on what kind of protections that water source has.
Yeah.
And if you're hiking through a meadow, there is no land that does not have vegetation on it for you to be able to camp on. You're supposed to be putting your tent down on dirt, right? You're not supposed to be killing plants to put your tent up at night. And so we were hiking to the ranger station in the hopes that we would ask them, is there some place sooner than Lyell Canyon that we can camp at?
Yes.
And their answer was, yeah, the backpackers camp you just passed, but it's full.
Right then.
And we were like, okay, so we'd have to backtrack again to get to a backpackers camp that we can't even stay at. We could walk around and see if there's any people that have like one little tent that we might be able to pop up next to, but there's no guarantee of that. And we'd have to backtrack and then still be in a position that we have nowhere to go. Or we have to hike, like, I think it was like 4.5 to 6 miles to be able to get to the camp spots.
Yes. And I do want to say, Nikki had taken off her boots prior to us getting to the ranger station. And my wonderful partner who had packed us the first aid kit had stuffed that thing full of blister care.
Yeah.
We used all of that blister care.
But it didn't help. It was too far gone for that blister care. Honestly.
Yes, but it at least cushioned it.
We tried. And so I said I had hoped desperately to hear a better answer than just keep hiking. The ranger, who was not Dan the man, told us just that. Or we could turn around and walk back the way we came. It wasn't going to happen. I walked out of the permit office to the bench. There's 2 little picnic benches outside the permitting office. I laid down on one of the like long seat parts, and Em asked what I wanted to do. And it's too much. My body was tired, my mind was tired, and my soul was tired. I just couldn't do it anymore. I tried to positive self-talk the whole morning. I was strong, I was capable, I was going to do it. but I couldn't seem to convince myself of these things. The trail was ruddy and rocky and twisting. It was gnarled and unfeeling, and my soft, delicate, fragile self was failing to survive.
Yeah. I have a very similar thing here, right? Like we're sitting outside the ranger office and Nikki is sobbing. I don't know what to do. Nikki is feeling very defeated, like we're never going to finish the hike and so on. I ask her what she wants to do. She doesn't know. I don't know. She feels like she can't go for another 4.5 miles and ask if I feel the same way, to which I answer, yes, because I don't want to make her feel worse and my body can't do that either. So we're not going to carry on. But now what do we do?
It was also late in the day.
It was.
At this point, it's probably like 4:15, and we're at a point where if we were to try to walk that 4.5 miles, even if it is as flat as they're telling us it is, it's going to take us a while.
It would be dark by the time we got there.
It's also high up, right, in a valley, so that sun is going to be gone.
Yes.
It's going to be cold. And if we're already feeling this exhausted, we're not going to double time our way there. Oh, we're so happy. So
I had just taken a crisis intervention course in counseling school. And I don't know what happened, but a switch flipped in me. Shout out to my counseling professors. And I was like, okay. And I just went into this very calm place.
I felt so panicked because this was my thing, right? This was my hike that I invited you on, and I should have had my shit together and I should have been prepared. When I'm sitting on that bench, I'm like running through my head of the options, and the options are really nothing but go forward, right? That's the only option that I hear in my head is we have to keep going. And I can't do that, but I can't sit on this bench and just wait it out either, right? And so we ended up, you were like, all right, we're not going to keep going. And I was like, well, we can't go to the backpackers camp. And you said, what if we go back to the car?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, my car. Like, that gives me new options, right? Like, lay in my car in the cushy seat, reclined, and not be moving. Like, if nothing else, it is a safe haven that locks that I can be in. And I didn't even fully process what you were saying. I heard go to car and I was like, safe place. Yes. And we ended up walking back to a bus stop for that ranger station.
Yes.
And we were standing there and the bus came and you were like, hey, we can take this bus to the valley, right? And I remember she was like, oh, sweetheart, no, the last bus to the valley already left.
Because it's late in the day.
It's 4:15. It takes an hour and a half plus, depending on where you're going in the valley, from Tuolumne Meadows to get to the valley.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the buses stopped running at 6. Those buses from the high Tuolumne Meadows area of the park to the valley part of the park, they don't run those shuttles through the night.
And she goes, this bus is going to the general store. And, from there, you might be able to hitchhike down to the valley floor.
She also, we did not get her name, but she was a real MVP. She said, what's going on? And we said, we just hit a wall. We can't do this. We need to get back to our car. We need to figure this out. And our car is parked in the valley. And she said, you know what, hun? That bus might have just left. Let me call him. And she called him on the radio.
Oh, yeah, she did.
And the guy, unfortunately, was already way past the general store.
Yeah.
And so she was like, I'm sorry, but you might be able to hitchhike from that general store.
Yes.
Yeah, shout out to that bus driver because she gave us an option.
She did, and one we wouldn't have thought of.
Nope. But I was not raised to consider hitchhiking an option, right?
No, I wasn't either. But I saw your face the minute she told us that that bus is gone. But I was still in this place of calm, and I was like, my friend is in distress. My friend is not in a place to help get us back to this car.
Yeah.
I need to do this. I need to do this for her.
And thank God you did, because I was so done that I had just like surrendered to whatever my fate would be.
Yeah.
And we were at the general store, and you are not a like aggressively assertive person.
No.
And you were just walking up to, and I appreciated this. You were like, any woman I saw, I walked up to, right?
Yes.
And you were like, are you heading to the valley? Are you heading to the valley? Hey, by chance, are you heading to the valley? Are you going to the valley? And eventually you landed on Laura, who was there with her cousin,
Yes.
Grant, and they were at Tuolumne Meadows to watch the sunset.
Yes.
And she said, sure, we can give you a ride.
Here's the thing. I don't enjoy talking to strangers.
Fair.
I have a grandfather that is an extrovert that will talk to anyone, and I love him, and that is his superpower, and I wish I had that superpower. But outside of like the counseling room or certain specific social situations in which I know what the social rules are, I don't enjoy talking to strangers. But you needed me.
I did.
And I clung to something that I learned in a statistics class in high school, which is, statistically speaking, if something happens 7 times, you are far more likely to get a different result. So I was like, all I have to do is get 7 no's.
I do remember
And
you
then,
telling me this.
statistically speaking, the odds of me getting a yes are going to go up every time.
I think you had asked like 5 or 6 people.
I was
And
counting.
you told me that statistic.
Yes.
And both of us, fair or not, were only approaching women
Yes.
because everything in American popular culture has told me not to get in a vehicle with a strange man.
Yeah.
So you were asking women, and I was like, I have to start doing my part here. Like, you've already asked 6 people. I need to start bothering people, basically.
I did not expect that of you, by the way.
And we started like, I was like looping, and I saw a woman, but then you like approached her because she was on that side of the store.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, like I'm only seeing men coming in now. I walked out of the store hoping that maybe there was women in vehicles that I could ask, like waiting for people. And you came out and you were like, I think I got a yes. And I was like, think? And you said, well, she's with her cousin who is driving. It's his car. But she said she would ask him if we are willing to wait for the sunset. And I was like, I don't care how long I have to wait, like if we have a car out of here.
But that felt like such a risk to like take a chance.
Yes.
It's because waiting for the sunset meant waiting until it was dark.
Correct.
And if they had like secretly gotten in their car and driven off, be it because we were dirty, we smelled, they didn't know who we were.
Right.
So they could have like sneakily gotten in their car and driven off.
He
and
could have been
left
like,
us
he could have
there.
seen us and been like, fuck no.
Yes. Then we would have been SOL because it would have been dark.
True.
And cold.
And we did have that anxiety.
Yes.
I remember us thinking through, like, if we say yes to this and they say, never mind. But I remember her coming back over with her cousin,
Mm-hmm.
and his name was Grant.
Yes.
And he was like, oh, you guys are doing the trail. That's so awesome.
Yes.
Trail magic. He used the phrase trail magic.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, we found someone who gets it. I remember you and I like gave them space. They like walked us over to where they were parked. They were like sitting on their car, like watching the sunset. And we like gave them a little bit of space so that we weren't bothering them. But both of us were like, we're not losing sight of those people. Like, we cannot lose them. We cannot have them get in their car and go, where did the girls go? Oh, well, right. And I have photos of that sunset.
Yes. Yes, indeed. I have a note in my journal here that says, side note, hitchhiking is really weird. I had no idea what I was doing, and it was intimidating to approach people and ask them to drive us to the valley, which was half an hour away. And I'm really glad
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half away, and I'm really glad we didn't die.
Yes. Grant, if you're listening, thank you so much. We so appreciate your kindness. His driving was terrifying.
Oh, he was a speed demon. He sped down that road, and I get car sick, and I was like, do not puke at this man's car.
Yep.
He's doing you a favor. You do not return trail magic by puking in someone's car,
Yes.
Emily. Put on your big girl pants and deal with it.
We offered to pay for gas.
We did.
And we did at what is it? Crane Flats or whatever that have the
Which
gas
was
station.
the most expensive gas in the world.
It always is. We told them you can just drop us off as soon as we get to the valley because they were actually headed back out towards Sacramento. getting to our car would have required them to drive through the entire valley and come back to that fork in the road to leave.
Yes.
And he said, absolutely not. Like, I've had people help me out. I've had buddies that have had this stuff happen. Like, I'm going to take you to your car. Where's the parking lot?
Yes.
And they took us all the way to that parking lot, and they were so kind, and we kept apologizing, like, we hope you don't smell. We're so sorry.
Yeah.
And you know, we chit-chatted, and it was actually like a very lovely experience.
Yeah.
It felt very safe.
Yes. And I will forever be thankful to them. And I have looked for ways to like return trail magic to people because they didn't have to do that. And they forever changed the course of our hike. Because it was only better from this particular moment.
Yeah.
And in 2017, if your name was Laura and you were a nurse in Reno, or Grant, who was a communications student in Spokane, Washington, but you were both from the Central Valley in California, you changed our lives. So thank you.
We got in my car, and I remember they pulled up to the parking lot, and we were like, you don't have to find our exact car. We will walk ourselves to our car. And, you know, we got out, and he got our packs out of like the back. He had them like in the trunk, and I had the thought when he handed me my backpack, and I was like, what if I lost my key?
You said that, and I was like, I had been so calm up to this point, and then all of my anxiety crushed me like a wave, and I was like, I think I have to pee.
I, in fact, didn't lose my key. It was absolutely on the little clicky inside the top pouch, tucked away where I would never. But I was like, what if I lost my key?
And I still had to pee even after you found the key.
And I remember getting in the car, and there's not a ton of service in the majority of Yosemite. And we had like game planned that we were going to drive ourselves out of that goddamn valley and get ourselves past, you know, Tioga and go to Eastern Sierra,
Levining.
95.
Yeah.
Go to Levining and try to find a room. Like,
yeah,
it's the closest thing off of Tioga. We knew we didn't want to have to climb back out of the valley. We kind of just like hung our hat up, and we were like, we're done with Yosemite now.
Yes.
We're not doing that part of the trail.
Yes, we were going to get a good night's sleep, and then we were going to reassess. And that reassessment could be anything from like, what do we need to do to jump back in, to do we want to jump back in?
Right. And I remember getting to Tioga Pass part of that highway, and you were like, okay, I have service. And I was like, okay, we'll check Levining. You know, there's a few, like, we're walking through there, like, there's a roadway in, and I'm sure there's like a couple of little places. And for whatever reason, it happened to be like a biker event, and every room in that tiny town was booked on like it was like a Tuesday or something. And we were like, oh, it's a Tuesday night. It's the middle of the week. Like, it should be fine. There's probably a room somewhere. At this point, it's almost September. Kids are back in school. There were no rooms.
No, and it was like 7 or 8 at night at this point.
I think it was like 9 or 10 at night.
Okay, so late.
It was
I remember
late.
it being dark, and I'm on my phone, spotty service, but there was service, and there's not a room in Levining at all. There was not a room in June Lake. Nothing. We had to go all the way into Mammoth Lakes to find a room at the bougiest place.
Yeah, the resort.
Oh,
I have it quite the bougiest. I'm sure they were more expensive.
I mean, it felt very bougie to us, because we were graduate students and had no money.
Correct.
We found a singular room at the Sierra Resort and Spa, which I could not afford, so I put it on my mother's credit card.
And we could only stay one night.
Yes.
We were like, let's give ourselves, I remember we had the conversation. We said, let's give ourselves a 0 day.
Yes.
Let's not try to get ourselves back on the trail tomorrow.
Yep.
Let's go to the room, take a shower, get a good night's rest, take tomorrow morning to reevaluate.
Yep.
And make the decision if we spend the day getting different food, getting different gear, solving the problems we're currently having, or getting our asses home.
Indeed.
Right? But let's spend the whole day.
Yeah. So I have a card from my mom that was supposed to be emergencies only.
I'm sorry. If that's not an emergency, I don't know what is.
I never used that card because, you know, I'm like, I'm an independent person. I used that card that night, and I was like, I will pay her back if it's not an emergency. I don't know what is.
I think we got to the room and I checked, and we had typically, if we were staying in a hotel, we're staying in the Motel 6,
Yes.
Mammoth Lakes, and they had a room because we looked there first, and they had a room for the day after, but not the night that we needed.
Yeah.
So I booked that room, you booked the resort room, and we were like, this gives us, we'll sleep tonight, tomorrow's our restart day. If we spend the whole day considering it, that's fine.
Indeed.
We'll sleep on it and we'll figure it out.
Checking into that hotel.
I have a note here in my, I have a lot of bus riding and hitchhiking with nice people named Laura and Grant. We got in the car and made it to Mammoth. That was a lot that I just one sentence. There was a lot of experience in that I was like, yeah, we rode a bus and hitchhiked and then we were in Mammoth.
Whereas I have pages of that. I have nothing on checking into the hotel, but I like have vivid memories of checking into the hotel because it was such an experience.
I have one sentence about checking in. At the resort, the only thing available, the guy behind the desk took pity on us and offered us free candy and a soda.
Yes, so we checked in and, you know, we're coming off the trail, soot, dirt, smell, crusty, whole thing. And the guy behind the counter that's checking us in strikes up a conversation. We tell him where we're coming from, what we're doing. And he's like, do y'all want a candy bar? And it's supposed to be like, you know, one king-size candy bar for $1.50.
Oh, it was like $5.
Okay.
Come on, that resort?
Okay, fair enough. And he just comps it for us, which hopefully we're not going to get anyone in trouble.
A decade later.
We'll
Send you a $20 bill to cover.
Yeah, for real. And we're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And then he's like, and you can have this. And he hands us an extra roll of toilet paper.
I remember he was like, how can I help y'all? And we're like, we're checking in. And we have, literally the only things that we have are our backpacks because we were supposed to be backpacking. It's not like we're like rolling in with roller bags. He's like, oh, cool. And he was like, so how's your night going? And we said, we just hitchhiked out of Yosemite. Because we need a day. Like we're like, we had a moment and you were like, her blisters are so bad. And we were like, we just need to reevaluate. And he was like, oh, so you guys have been backpacking. And we're like, yeah, we started, 4 days ago or whatever. And he was like, oh God, grab a candy bar, grab a soda, you guys deserve it, whatever. And then it was so funny because he like leans under the desk and he's making direct eye contact. And he's like looking between you and I, and it's very shifty. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing, right?
I know.
And then he pulls up the roll of toilet paper and he just slides it across and he goes, you'll probably want this. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
We didn't even know we had Giardia yet.
Well, first and foremost, I don't think we had actually shit in a cat hole yet because we have been at backpackers camps every night.
Spoiler alert, I didn't poop until day 7. I journaled about it.
Some foreshadowing to enjoy in a future episode. But we had been in Little Yosemite Valley.
Yeah.
We were at the backpackers camp in Yosemite Valley that had toilets. The next day, we were at Little Yosemite Camp that had those nice drop toilets.
Yes.
We were there for 2 nights. And the next night, we were at Sunrise that also had a drop toilet.
It's true. Yeah, no,
followed by hitchhiking out and being in Mammoth.
we had not had to dig a cat hole. So, like, I had only, like, done a business
In a toilet. And we, you got to piss in the bush, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's different.
It is.
And for him to be like, you're going to want this toilet. I was like, what? To what? Shower with? Like, I don't.
And there was toilet paper in the room already.
Yes. I was like, do you want me to bring this with me on the trail? Because I'm just going to have to pack that out. Like, I don't want. No. It was very strange. He was very nice. And I think he was just trying to be nice.
And funny.
But, yeah. And like, I think it was like his quirky way of being like, I get it.
Yeah.
We ended up in the room and both of us were like, this is the nicest room we've ever been in.
Do you remember the shower?
Oh my God.
The shower was so nice.
It was like truly my like aching bones.
Ugh.
It was so nice to just like rinse the dirt off. And my feet were really bad. I remember after showering, like looking at them and it was like blisters on blisters. Like I had blisters that had popped and the skin was still on. And I apologize if this is graphic.
This show contains scenes that some viewers may find disturbing.
But there was blisters that had formed on that soft
New
skin.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not really sure what to do with this at this point. I've never had a blister in a blister that were like this big, and they were on my toes and kind of like wrapping around my toes. So I could not walk on my feet without them feeling incredibly tender. It was actually almost worse out of shoes because it was like direct contact, and I was walking around like on my heels.
You were.
Because it hurt so bad. I have here that like a quick shower and a call to chase, and I'm feeling better, but tomorrow will help. I'm holding back from driving home and saying this isn't for me. But I kind of feel like I should drive home because this isn't for me. One more day and then reevaluate. It's one step at a time, and eventually we'll get there. Not sure where there is yet. I remember waking up and I like took a moment to like let myself think about where I was, how I felt, checking in with my body. Sleeping helped a lot with my feet. I think like having cleaned them and like having them out of socks and out of a sleeping bag, they dried out a little bit, which helped. And just having the pressure off of them was really nice. We ended up waking up about the same time.
We did. We took another shower.
Ugh. And I remember sitting up in the bed, and you had sat up, and we were just like facing each other. I said, "How are you feeling?" And you said, "Okay. How are you feeling?" And I said, "No pressure, but I don't think I want to be done." And you were like, "Me either."
Yeah. So I had the previous night, so the night we drove out of the valley, right? Because the end of day 4, and now it's the morning of day 5. I had been able to talk to Shane, and it was a text conversation, and I was like, we're not in this conversation. I was like, we're both having a really hard time. I don't know, like, if I'm gonna stay in. I don't know if Nikki's gonna stay in. And Shane was like, I think you should stay in. I think you are going to regret it if you don't. So regardless of what Nikki does, I think you should stay in or try to. And I was like, and do it by myself? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, of course, giving intonation because this is a text message. And I'm like, could I? And it honestly had never occurred to me to that point in this text message conversation that like, even if you left, that I could do it by myself, or that I would want to do it by myself.
Right.
And those are kind of two different things. And I was like, even after Shane and I had like stopped chatting over text message, I was like, do I even want to do this by myself? Because even though I'm an introvert, I like spending time with people in community, even if I'm not speaking with them.
Well, introvert doesn't mean you don't like people. It means you like your people.
Yes, and you
small doses.
Yes.
And downtime.
Yes, and you are my people.
Safe people.
Yes.
Good. Strange people.
Bad. And I'm really glad I never had to answer that question of like, do I want to do this by myself? Because I still don't know the answer to this day. This was an experience that I think I needed to have in community.
I got to that place
Mm-hmm.
towards the end, and I landed in the same place.
Yes.
And I didn't want to do it by myself.
Yeah.
Could I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I want to? No.
Thanks for listening. We appreciate your support in this retelling of our chaotic adventure. We love to hear from y'all, so reach out on social media at Yither Yonder Pod or send us an email at yitherYonderPod@gmail.com. Find us on your favorite listening platform, and please rate, review, and subscribe because it really does help. Don't forget to check the show notes for resources and helpful links. And if you'd like more content, subscribe on your favorite membership platform. Info's available on our website, yitheryonderpod.com. We've got weekly blogs from each of us, some planning resources from our trip, with tips on what we do differently, and some other fun bonus content. We truly appreciate you joining us on this great adventure. Until next time.